Sherry G. I'm back with another Love and Marriage Huntsville video. So in my last video, I told you that I was going to put together some information as it pertains to Gino. Gino is the guy, if you remember, who put Latisha out of her office. Well, he didn't put her out of her office, but Marceau did, and brought Gino on as the new partner, his new partner in crime. And we really didn't know that much about Gino. Like, where did he come from? What did he bring to the table? We just saw that he was hanging like a diploma, I don't know, a degree. Maybe it was his business license. Maybe it was his builder's license. We don't know. And as a matter of fact, like I said, there was a whole lot we didn't know about Gino. So there's been questions. There have been allegations. Allegations that he's homeless, that he's a family member. Anyway, I was fortunate enough to have some information dropped in my lap this past weekend. So I put things together, did a little more research, tried to get what I can. Let me preface by saying that there are still some questions, but at least we will know a little bit more about Gino than we did before I got this information. So maybe as time goes on, we'll find out even more. Now, before I tell you or share the video with you, keep in mind that the views expressed in that video are alleged. It's of opinion. It's for entertainment. It's for fair use. It's for all of that. Let me go ahead and play my disclaimer before I forget. Put my disclaimer up. Then I'll go ahead, play the video, and give my commentary. Feel free to comment down below in the comment section. So let me go ahead and play my disclaimer, and you listen out for the video, and I'll be back. Okay, y'all, so let's talk about Gino. Gino Deshaun Peters is actually his legal name. Deshaun, Deshaune. And he was born January 6, 1979. He hails from Slidell, Louisiana. Now, according to public record, Gino has lived majority of his life in Louisiana, and then he spent time in Michigan, has had several addresses, and he also, it appears, spent a short, brief amount of time in Illinois. Now, the last update on his address was in 2022. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it was in December of 2022. But maybe, perhaps he has really moved to Alabama. I'm not really sure. It could just be that the public records are behind as far as that information, because I know sometimes things get behind. And I was told that Alabama was kind of slow in getting some things recorded and getting some things up to date. So it could be that he has actually transitioned to Alabama, but his records have not been updated. At least the public records haven't been updated as of yet. Or at least that's the information that was furnished to me. There could be other information out there where it is actually all updated. I don't know. Just going by what I have. So Gino, the question was, how does he get to work with Marceau? What does he bring to the table that Marceau doesn't bring to the table? In my opinion, based on everything that I've seen, based on my research. So last weekend, I was given a lot of information this past weekend on different than everyone on the cast, actually. Some different information about all of them. Gino was actually one of them. And I was really interested in finding out more about him because, he just showed up. He just showed up at Schultz. He and Maurice were, I'm sorry, these M's again. Ugh. But him and Marceau were sitting down and having a conversation. And they were discussing joining together in partnership. And the next thing we know, Gino was moving in and Tisha was put out of the office. Gina took over her office space. He was actually hanging his, I don't know if it's a certificate, builder's license, because they didn't really elaborate on exactly what it was he was hanging up there, or let us see it. Like I said, we really didn't get a lot of details. So it seemed like they were all made for TV moments. Even when Gino was shown, at the site, the hotel site, it still seems like it was all made for TV moments. So anyway, I was curious about who he was, and so was a lot of you all. So I wanted to do research. I was given some information, but based on my further research, I found out that he does have experience in contracting, and a lot of you were alleging that perhaps he was the one who really had this experience, and that perhaps even the hotel that's being built, that perhaps even it was actually his contract and not Marcel's, that perhaps Marcel was working for him. I still don't really know that part or that much, but I do know that Gino brings a lot of experience to the table. As a matter of fact, based on my research, Gino used to, or I don't know if he still does, but he owned a company at least up until December of 2022. And this is all as a matter of public record. And the name of that company is G&L Exquisite Contractors. So if you look here, you can see some of the things that that company did, and some of the things, some of the different types of projects that they were involved in building. It just looks like they were just the ones who operated the whole thing, supervised the operations, and made sure that all of the I's were dotted, all of the T's were crossed. As far as those projects being built, they were the ones who actually hired out the subcontractors and employed them to help construct the different projects and see them through from beginning to end. So I was just wondering, maybe perhaps Marceau is a subcontractor. But anyway, I'll get into a little bit more of that in just a bit. So anyway, so you can see here some of the different projects that he did. And these are the people that he worked with. Now, if you go back to one of the scenes where he and Marceau were talking, and Marceau was telling him that he was going to sit Latisha down and bring Gino on to work with him. And then Gino went on to say that he regretted what happened between he and his wife, and he regretted that he didn't work more closely with her and share things with her as it pertains to their business. That was one of his biggest regrets. So I assume, and this is an allegation, that Gino is no longer married, that he is divorced, or maybe he's separated and in the process of getting divorced, that he's in a transitionary period. I assume that this lady here, Gina, is his wife, because she looks, in my opinion, she looks too old to be the daughter. So I would assume that this is his wife or his ex-wife. Not really sure exactly what their marital status is at this point. I do believe, though, that they are in transition. If you remember exactly, from that scene, if he said they were divorced or going through divorce or what have you, you can comment down below in the comment section and enlighten me on that, and I'd appreciate it. So anyway, these are the different people that he worked with in that business. Again, I don't know if this business is in a transitionary period or if the business was being or has been dissolved because of their marital situation, and Gino's just trying to figure it out. It could be that he's moving from Louisiana to Alabama, again, in a transitionary period, having to regroup and redo his business. As a matter of fact, he had another business, and I'm not sure if that business is still in operation. That business was Mr. G's Hot Shot Transportation. So he had, Hot Shots where they do transportating for different companies. Not sure if he's still operating that business, but I guess we might find out and we might not, depending on how things go with this show, right? But anyway, or if you can do some more digging around and find out and let me know, maybe I'll do some more digging around. And when I find out, I will definitely let you know. Now, the question came up in my comment section, or someone mentioned or made an allegation or an assumption that Gino had a past record, like a criminal record. And I'm just going to say that, yes, there are charges on his public record. There's 19 of them, as a matter of fact. And I was kind of blown away with that at first. I was like, oh my God. But I sat and I looked at them, and realizing that the last one was in 2010, I'm not going to put that up here because I'm going to give Gino grace. And here's why. Because there's so many people who have done things in their past, and they're not continuing to do those things. They've made a turnaround. And that's how I see Gino. And I'm giving him grace based on that. Like when I look at the public records, the information that I have, there hasn't been anything recently. So it's been like 13 years since he's done anything. And there hasn't been like anything, like any judgments, any liens, all of the crazy stuff that we're seeing with some of these castmates, right? And he has not stood before us and made a proclamation to be some millionaire or anything like that, to be this upstanding guy. Nothing like that. He's just told, we just saw him sitting with Marceau and discussing business. So, of course, we had the questions. We wanted to know more. Who is he? And then, assumptions were made, allegations were made. So I just want to set the record straight on behalf of Gino that he does seem to be on the up and up right now. So I'm not going to dox him or anything like that because he hasn't stood before us and made any false claims. Now, when I go back to this previous episode, his facial expressions, I'm telling you, Gino's very facial. I don't even know if he realizes it or not. But when they were all out there posing and, doing, the shoot and posing for pictures and all of that, his face was saying, look, this is made for TV and it's a bunch of malarkey. It's a bunch of bullcrap and I'm not down for this. That's one of the things that really caught my attention. It was just his whole vibe. It's like he really wasn't down for this. But hey, if you're going to pay me a check, I'll take a check. If you're going to use me, I'm sure if he's in transition, he could use the money. Who couldn't use extra money, right? So that's all I have for you about Mr. Gino. Like I said, if I find out more, I will tell you more. Again, I'm not sure what's really going on with him as far as the partnership with Marceau, how they're working on that hotel together. I know recently Marceau actually did a live where he was walking around on the hotel site. Someone said, yeah, he's just walking around because he's supervisor. But if you listen really carefully to the conversations that he's having with the different people, and this is my opinion and my allegation, doesn't sound like he's a supervisor. It just sounds like they're educating him on the processes that they're taking, the steps that they're taking to get the rebar in the ground and do the different things like that. In my opinion, it sounds like Marceau's very green in comparison to the information that these people are providing him with, or that one guy was providing him with as he was talking about the preparation of the ground. So I don't know. It was like kind of interesting because I just know that I would think as a supervisor you would have a little more, you would have a little more background, a little more knowledge of what's happening. So again, I could be totally off. That's okay. It's just an opinion. We're just making opinions here. So you don't have to assassinate me about my opinion. You might have heard something different. So if you know something different, you heard something different, feel free to share down below in the comment section. That's all I have for you for right now. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because I will be back. Until then, ciao.